guest is Tawny, a voice actor and content creator with over 2 million followers across platforms and 500,000 subscribers on YouTube alone. She has worked with Disney+, Hulu, Warner Brothers, Angry Birds, and has been creating content full-time since 2017.
Hi, I'm a full-time voice actor. This read is called Detached Casual Conversational.
This is called a bright read. You'll usually hear this when big department stores want you to know that they have denim for the entire family.
This is a warm read.
What makes Tawny unlike almost anybody else in this space is that she sits at the intersection of Hollywood and the creator economy at a moment when the two are colliding in ways that nobody saw coming. Well, maybe Tawny did.
They really tie in together because that's how I get found, is from all of the content that I'm making on social media. I have really taken that to be my main way to get booked for my voice acting jobs.
I'm Erika Vieira, a YouTube strategist who's worked with nearly 2,000 female business owners, creatives, and entrepreneurs over the last decade. This show is about real conversations on what it really takes to be successful on YouTube. To learn more about working directly with me and access to my free live YouTube workshop, check out the description below. Ladies, class is in session. Let's talk to Tawny. So I have to ask you something off the bat, Tawny. So you have all of these voice acting credits through Warner Brothers, Disney, Hulu, but you're here on social media as well. So I want you to share with us here, how did those two worlds collide with you, and specifically also YouTube?
Yeah, so for Warner Brothers, who you just mentioned, everybody that is kind of under that umbrella, all of that ties together because it's promotional work. So I create my content on YouTube, social media. That's how they find me. And it just kind of goes back and forth. Or they'll find me and they're having me do stuff for promo. And then they're like, oh, could you also do some of like the social media stuff or other voice acting stuff? So they really tie in together because that's how I get found, is from all of the content that I'm making on social media. I have really taken that to be my main way to get booked for my voice acting jobs.
So it's like the new real.
I think so. Yeah. Like I kind of saw this happening back in 2016, just with AI, social media, kind of how everything was working, the pay to play sites for getting voice acting jobs, agencies. And I thought that it was going to go this direction. I was like, oh, I need to create my own audience. I need to make my own brand. I need to make myself some kind of celebrity
Personal
or
brand.
recognizable name or something like that. So I am valuable to these people, like these people who would want to hire a voice actor, because I have an audience that will travel with me. So I've just seen, as the industry's evolved, it has really gone that direction more and more and more, where that is where people are looking for their talents. It's on social media because they want them to bring those eyeballs to whatever project or product that they're trying to promote.
But prior to being on social media, you have been doing this for a long time. So were you already pretty well established as a voice actor prior to getting onto your platforms?
It was one of those things where I had been doing it like quite part-time my entire life. I had booked my first voice acting job when I was about 6 years old, and it was something locally in San Diego at a radio station for a commercial. And I was doing that in addition to theater, to on-camera commercial, to print work, anything that you can book that is just acting performance. I was doing everything. So it was like in the rotation of those things that I was doing. And like I said, it was very part-time. It was very local. And I saw in the early 2010s that a lot of people were able to work from home as voice actors. And that was like right when social media was like really starting to pop off too. So this was like, 2010 through like 2013. And I saw those opportunities there and I'm like, oh, I think I can actually do more if I kind of focus on voice acting here. So same thing, like really local, recording in my closet from home, doing like very small gigs and, building from there. And then by 2016, I realized, oh, I need to really focus on that social media presence. So yes and no. I feel like I didn't have a huge amount of connections going into it, because when you're working part-time and very locally, a lot of times it's one-off stuff. like that. It wasn't, a lot of people where I'm like, oh, well, I've been doing this since I'm 6, so I can just call Frank over there and he'll hook it
Yeah.
up. Like there wasn't anything like that at the time.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when I was looking at your story and stuff, I was thinking you were already established, and then social media just kind of made you even more, more established. But it sounds like social media, would you say maybe a turning point in helping you do this more full time?
Absolutely, especially not primarily living in LA at this point. I commute back and forth. I'm pretty much like 1 week in San Diego, 1 week in LA. So it's at that point where I'm trying to figure out, like, do I buy another property in LA? Do I have my
Yeah.
LA house and my San Diego house? Like,
Yeah.
which is a totally different conversation about the industry and it being decentralized, but I digress.
Yeah.
So yeah, like that was really a big turning point for me, was about, gosh, what was it, like 2021, maybe a couple years after that. But I think it was like 2020 was when end of 2020 was when I uploaded a video on TikTok and then other socials that got some really good views. And then everything just kind of started building on top of that after that point.
Yeah. So essentially, what you're saying is that to really make it as a voice actor or maybe any kind of talent these days, a social media presence is almost mandatory.
I personally think so. You'll hear people say different things, of course, different experiences in the industry. I think that you have to become a notable person of interest on social media to be able to do your art, which I know is an incredibly dystopian thing for most people
Yeah.
to hear. And I'm
Yeah.
not saying I support it. I'm just
Yeah.
talking about the reality of it. But that's my perception of how things are, where you have to establish yourself and your own brand and get that audience before you're able to get noticed by other people who want to work with you.
Well, you're so talented in what you do. It almost makes sense for you to have and create the type of short form content I see here on YouTube. And I'm not really on TikTok, but I'm assuming it's similar, on TikTok and Instagram. And so I can see how doing that would expose your talent to the masses, essentially, and how appealing that could be for a casting director or just to be discovered in general. Do you have to go through the same channels as, say, people who don't have a social media following, and the social media following is just a bonus? Or are you actually getting work directly from your social media? Like, are people discovering you through social media?
Yeah, they are. And that's about, I would say, I feel like at this point, if I was going to guess, that's probably like 98% of where I get my work. And these are people that are reaching out directly. So I always say, like, I hate auditioning. Like, I've always
Mhm.
hated auditioning. It just, for me
Yeah.
personally, it feels like a
Well, I
waste.
was in that world for a while,
Were
and I did
you?
commercial acting, and yes, I lived in
Yeah.
LA for a long time, and
Yeah.
the driving all over LA, oof.
It's miserable.
Yeah.
And you're up against how many hundreds?
Oh,
And at this point
that
too,
look just
like,
like you.
yeah,
Yeah.
right, exactly. It's just like those little like variations. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like this point, doing it remotely too, especially in my line of work, you're up against thousands of people oftentimes,
No.
because there are people auditioning from everywhere in the world for this part. So
Mhm.
and it's people who don't know who you are. A lot of times they don't recognize you. You don't have any pull there. So this is just my experience. I know plenty of people that are in with particular agencies or managers, and they're able to connect them with these clientele, and they audition and they get the parts. They're the right fit, and that's awesome. I just don't think that is super common for most
Mhm.
people in this industry.
Mhm.
And so for me, I'm just like, I don't want to be doing these huge list of auditions day
Yeah,
after day
cattle
after
call.
day. Exactly,
Yeah.
cattle calls.
Mhm. Mhm.
For me, I'd rather put that out there. It ends up on somebody's algorithm because they like
Mm.
that anyway. That's something they're looking for. And they're like, oh my gosh, like this is speaking to me, or this is what I'm looking for. I really like her. And that's how I book my work. I actually book something. I can't give a ton of detail about it, but major streaming service, named part in it with a lot of A-list actors.
Oh,
The
cool.
producer,
Congrats.
not even the casting director, the producer just sent me a DM on Instagram and was like, "Oh my God, I love your work. Do you want to be in the show?" And I'm like, "That would be great. I would love to." And he's like, "Let's get dinner. Let's hash it out." did that. I was in the studio a couple weeks later, and yeah, and I'm like, and that's how I book pretty much everything is somebody just sees what I'm doing and they reach out.
Wow. So you're more just not managing, but you're getting the inbound leads and probably trying to decipher what's real and what's not versus you having to go out and get the business because you have this whole calling card type thing on social media, essentially.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like
Mhm.
that's I'm sending it's kind of like that. Yeah. Like you're sending the demo out, you're sending everything out to those people, and they're just contacting me directly. And
Exactly.
so even if I'm like not booking a gig that day, which like for me, fortunately, like I have it down to kind of a science where like I'm typically booking on a daily basis. But even if I'm not, I'm still getting paid because I'm monetized on these
Yeah.
platforms and you don't
Yeah.
get paid for auditions. So at the very least, I'm making,
Yeah.
yeah, at the very, very least, I make a video, I get on somebody's radar and then I get a few $100 because it's on
Yeah.
every platform too. So I'm like,
Yeah.
that just makes so much more sense to me.
So you do not have a manager or agent?
I have a manager,
A
which is very
manager.
much like a business manager.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so
Kind of
that's,
like almost like a social media manager
yeah, similar. I
or
have,
also your whole business.
yeah, and I have a
Mhm.
couple of people that do stuff for me. So like I have assistants, I have managers, but that's really what they're doing is they're
Mhm.
being communications and they're still running everything by me. We're talking about stuff together. It's people that have experience in that, but I don't have an agent because I've never I've had agents and I have never found an agent that is able to do more than what I'm able to do on
I
social
know.
media. Like they've
Mhm.
never booked me a job. They've never been able to do anything for me that I have not gotten myself. And especially that was like the big one was that one with the streaming service
Mhm.
project where
That's huge.
I got that. They reached out directly to me. They didn't reach out to my agent. And
Yeah.
I know the rates and I know how to negotiate, as does my manager. And I'm like,
Yeah.
why would I get an agent and pay them
And
20%?
pay them 20, yeah, and pay them all
This
this
doesn't make
money.
any sense.
No, no. So, I mean, I think that's so I mean, that's the power of social media these days. It's completely changed the industry.
It has, yeah, for better or for worse. Like I know
Mhm.
there's a lot of issues with it too, and I don't want to speak of it like it is this perfect system that is completely egalitarian or perfect or anything. Like I know it's a little bit redundant, but it does have problems. There absolutely are problems, but there are some great benefits to it as well.
Well, you saw the writing on the wall, so you figured out the situation. I imagine somebody who hasn't now they're maybe kicking themselves or trying to get on now to kind of gain that exposure. So when you're creating content, are you very strategic as far as like, okay, I want to showcase this type of voice or I want to showcase me doing this? Like, how do you decide what type of content to create specifically?
Yeah, that's a good question. There's a little bit of a combination there. So some of it is like what is in the zeitgeist at the time. So like what are people talking about? Because I know that that is going to be on people's minds. It's going to be connected to entertainment because culture and entertainment are completely entwined. And so there's that, and then there's also like, okay, what is it that I am just like going through the rotation or have discovered a new performance or character or voice that I want to showcase, and how do I work that into everything else so it makes a compelling piece of content that will also work with the algorithm and what it's feeding to people and comply with that. So it's a little bit of some analytics and math, not unlike sports gambling to be
Yes.
totally honest.
Oh my gosh, I say, social media even or YouTube because I focus 100% on YouTube. You work with
Yeah,
YouTubers, produce YouTube channels.
yeah.
So I was like, it's a little bit of a gamble because every single video you put out, and I saw on your YouTube channel you were doing things related to Devils Wear Prada and Euphoria, right? Like all these shows that people care about right now. So you're leveraging the current trends and things like that.
Yeah, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, and you look at
Mhm.
all of the data and you'll compare it to the outcome and it doesn't make any sense. Like, sometimes it doesn't
Yeah.
make it you're like, "That should have worked." And then other
Yeah.
times you're, like, just creating something because you like it or whatever,
Mhm.
just you're not sure how it's gonna perform, and then it pops off
Yeah,
and you're
take
like, "I
off.
don't know what is the factor?" And, like
Yes.
so there's
Yes.
always, always, always a luck component, and that's what I tell everybody about doing anything. It's like, so much is like right place, right time, and that's something that you can't really engineer.
Yeah, but the thing is you are talented. So it's like I always say, like talented people, the cream rises to the crop. Like it takes some time to figure it out, but when you have a talent and you're really leaning into it, that definitely works to your advantage. So you are on YouTube with 500,000 on YouTube, which that's no easy feat, right? And you have what are your followings on the other platforms?
They're about
Instagram.
that, give or take. Instagram is 700,000 some
Mhm.
odd. And TikTok is 630 something.
Okay.
There's Facebook just because it's monetized. That's
Yeah.
close to 700,000, I want to say, 600 and some. So they're all kind of in that around that same half a
Yeah.
million, a little bit more.
So let's do a little bit of like technical logistics because this is where a lot of people get really interested too. So you have four major platforms here: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, right? YouTube is its own beast with long form content. TikTok, Instagram, and then shorts on YouTube. So how do you plan your content? Are you creating one piece of content for all the platforms and then a long piece of content? Like what does that look like for you? How are you deciding which platform to go on? What type of content goes on which platform? And how does each one serve you individually?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I had recently just started doing this where, and again, wasn't sure if it was going to work at all because of the nature of YouTube, but I started filming stuff with a green screen. So it was very easy to transfer it to break it up into little shorts, take that long video and have it be a long form video on YouTube and then edit it in such a way or film it in such a way and then edit it. So it was very easy to turn into like bite size 60-second, 2-minute clips. So that has worked out great because the long form video does well, which we know like that's where the money is in YouTube. The money is not in shorts, certainly.
100%. Yes, we
Yeah.
know that. Tawny, you were just telling me how you film your long form videos in front of a green screen. And then you turn those videos into individual shorts. Which of those videos did you do that with? Which one
Yeah.
should we look at?
So I did that with this first one, The End of an Era. I did that with the Goodbye Auntie Tawny one,
Okay.
that Devil Wears Prada one, the Euphoria one, that
Okay.
Princess one, the Batman one.
The Devil Wears Prada.
So you did it on all these. So we're looking here. So this is a green screen because then you're showing all the clips and
Yes,
stuff from the movie.
correct.
Got it. And then what you do is so when you're filming it, I have all these questions. So when you're filming it, do you have like a script written out where it's like very deliberate where like these are going to be like before you film, do you know you're going to get 5 shorts out of it basically?
Typically, like it's a little bit of a guesstimation, but like within the word count, I can, and with the pace that I speak at, I can
Mhm.
typically tell where I'm like, okay, I'm going to get between like 4 and 5 out of these.
Mhm.
Like there's sometimes a little bit of some guesswork going in there, but like I'm generally with the word count that I'm writing with my scripts, I'm
Mhm.
trying to get like at least 4 clips out of that.
Got it. So then it's planned though. Like it's like in each of those clips, like in your mind as you're creating them, they each have their own distinct beginning, middle, and end, its own kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah. And then when I'm sharing those on short form socials, it's like part
Mhm.
1, part 2, part 3, come back for the next part tomorrow. Because people do prefer consuming content that way. On most of those platforms, I've found that those short little bites that people can
Yeah.
go through, even if it is like, it's interesting because they won't sit down and watch and they're like, oh my God, this is 5 minutes, but
Yeah.
they'll watch 5 60-second clips back to back. And that's not a problem. So a
Yeah.
lot of times it's so dependent upon the framing.
Yeah. So then these are the 4 Devil Wears Prada's clips from that one particular video.
Right.
And this one got 160,000 views. And this one got almost 200,000 views.
Mhm.
And then the long form got, I don't know, like
Not quite as many.
no, not quite as many. But like you said, the long form is what makes the money generally on YouTube.
Yeah, it's just interesting to see how, again, like how that works. And sometimes the longer form stuff does better
Hmm.
or worse than others. But yeah, and that's where it goes back to you don't know every single
Yeah.
time like how something's gonna work out.
Yeah. And have you been doing this type of process with your long form YouTube videos since the start, or when did you figure this out?
That was very recently because long
Okay.
form YouTube videos, at least for me, they're very difficult. Like that, it's very time consuming. Like I think
For I mean, that's like the name of the game, you know?
it's so time consuming. So it's like, especially with what we do and, on the content creation side, it's like you're supposed to be releasing ideally something every single day, short form. And then with YouTube, they want you doing something very regularly and it's it's a lot with YouTube. So I was like, I wonder if this would work if I did that green screen because it's much easier to
Yeah.
film and cut and edit and produce and everything. And then, I'm getting like all of this content out of one filming session instead of like, okay, I'm trying to do this every day and then I'm working on the long form thing and I got to film it and it's like tougher with the teleprompter with the big girl camera and
Yes.
just all of it. It's so challenging. So being able, I was like, let me try this and see if it works. Unfortunately, it's been working so
That's
far.
so good. Good for you. And the thing is it almost lends itself too because the background has a lot going on as well. So it leads to that visual interest that's so necessary for this long form content on YouTube.
Yeah, it's people really do like that as well. They want a lot going on. If it was just me
Mhm.
talking in my studio, that's boring. But like
Yeah,
they're watching me talk about Snow White while they're watching Snow White, and
exactly.
that's much more captivating for most people.
Do you ever have issues though with like copyright issues or anything like this? Because I noticed that you do show a lot of movie clips and things like that. Have you ever run into
Yeah.
issues?
A little bit. Typically, it's with
Hmm.
sound. If it's visual, not so much. And especially if I'm breaking it up so it's different, 3 to 5 second clips of whatever the content is.
Hmm.
That's short enough. But this got copyright actually.
I saw that because I was watching it and one of them, it was talking, but there was no sound.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Okay.
it didn't have that up there when I uploaded it, and then by the time, it got tinged, like, a bunch of people had already been watching it, and I'm like, "Well,
Yeah.
stuff happens. Sometimes it
Yes.
is what it is."
Yes. So usually you find if it's a shorter clip and there's no sound, it's not usually a big issue.
Correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
for me, it seems like I'm able to get away with that quite a bit.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, stuff happens, and it has to get cut out. Project Hail Mary was like that. I was trying to show really small clips and they didn't want none of that, which I always think is really interesting because for me as somebody who is a producer and like creates
Hmm.
other stuff as well, having somebody sample that and talk about it online, I would love that because that
Yeah.
is getting it
Exposure.
more exposure. So
Hmm.
it's really interesting how that's such like a nitpicky system, but I
Yeah.
assume that it's because it's AI, it's automated, that they're not really giving a whole lot of thought to that, like in terms of people that are just uploading clips versus people that are using samples while they're on screen
Commentary.
and giving
Yeah.
commentary.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's really interesting. I appreciate you sharing your process there. And when you are creating content in general, then for TikTok and Instagram, are these also clips from your YouTube videos or is that separate content? You just keep that separate?
It's all from the same
Hmm.
project.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So you basically repurpose everything on every platform.
pretty much. Yeah, there's some stuff that I will make just for that particular platform, and usually that's Instagram because Instagram has a different ecosystem. So if
Mhm.
I want to like talk about like a class that I have coming up, Meta
Mhm.
in general is like this, so Facebook and Instagram. If I want to talk about a class that I have that's coming up, or just anything that like is going to veer off like my usual content, Instagram and Facebook are much more friendly and receptive to that kind of veering off.
Yeah.
TikTok is brutal. Like it's funny because
Okay.
I hear a lot of people, and I just might be old, but I hear a
Mhm.
lot of people say like, oh, TikTok is where I've had the most success. Like, I can't do anything on Instagram. Like I can't grow. I've had quite a bit of success on Instagram and like growing
Mhm.
that, and that's been pretty easy for me, I think I would say. Where TikTok is very challenging, and I feel like if I like breathe on it wrong, it's like that video is not getting seen by anybody.
And they tend to be videos that are just unrelated to like your main like thing or,
That and just even if it is my main thing, like just for some reason, like algorithm didn't like that. They didn't want to push it, or like people weren't interested in it, or it's odd. Like it will just tank as opposed to Instagram where it's like I'm pretty much guaranteed no matter what I post, it's going to get like a
Mhm.
healthy amount of views. TikTok does
Mhm.
not do that at all for me anyway.
Interesting. I noticed on your YouTube that you have some shorts that are are really fun where it's like really showcasing your talent where you're and those are really high performing, a lot of views where it's like you're saying like, "Oh, here's a bunch of different like voices from the 60s or cartoon voices or something." Those are not stemming from long form videos, right? Those are more of like short
Those are short.
form. Yeah.
Yeah, those
So
are
do
short
you
form.
still do those or is it right now it's really just this cadence of you're creating these commentary videos and then that's your short form content?
Yeah, I still do those or
Mhm.
want to. Those are the most labor intensive ones. So
I would
like
think so. That's what I was gonna ask you, like, how long do those take you? Because those look hard, like, those look like they take a lot of time.
it does simply because I'm referencing things while I'm not just performing the voice and saying like this is a 1950s voice, isn't it fun? Like I'm actually referencing like the cultural and sociological things that like tie in with that voice. So it's like why was that voice popular at the time? What was it used for? What was it saying? What's like the history involved in that? And while I do have a lot of that knowledge from working in the industry and then just being it's my special interest. Like I love everything film and television performance. I fact check myself as well. So like I am doing research for that and I'm like, okay, this is my perception. Is that the reality? Is there backing for this? So I'm checking and it's not just like let me go check Wikipedia. It's like I'm looking up academic journals. There's books, and I'm like trying to find like passages in these books. So and like references. So there is quite a bit of research that goes into that because I want to make sure I'm as best as possible not putting out just something that is my solely my perception of
Mhm.
the industry and the art.
Yeah, 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 it's a lot of research. So, you have all 4 of those platforms. A lot of it is repurposing, which is great. Do you find that one platform is better for you than others when it comes to booking you jobs? Like, why be on YouTube if you're already massive on Instagram or TikTok, or why be
Yeah.
on TikTok if you're already big? You know what I'm saying? So like what
Yeah.
what does each platform maybe offer you?
So as far as like monetization goes, like Instagram, no monetization whatsoever. They do not pay creators, but I that's where kind of everybody is in a certain demographic of decision makers. So I mean like people that are like kind of more in their 40s are who are like producers, casting directors and older. So those people are on Instagram and that's where I get a lot of my work. So if we're talking like booking, like Instagram. But that's true with all of them. Like I get booked from each platform and it really comes down to like the more exposure that you're getting, the better because people everybody has a different favorite platform,
Mhm.
you know?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that was my always my thought was like get out there to as many eyeballs as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Got it. So, one thing I found really interesting about you is that I've seen on YouTube, especially with shorts, you get a lot of talent from Instagram and TikTok. People like yourself, actors, voice actors, singers, comedians. And what I see, what they usually do is they usually will just repurpose their short form content onto YouTube. What I thought was interesting about you is that you have a lot of long form content, which I think is a little bit unusual for a talent of yours. Like most people tend to focus on that short form. So, what made you decide to create the long form content itself?
For me, it was that monetization because Shorts
Mm,
does not monetize much. So I
mhm,
was always trying to figure out like how can I do what I do in that long form and
mhm.
get that part of the monetization factor of YouTube because if you can get it, like they pay the best like out of all the platforms. TikTok does pay very well too, but you have to really figure out how to get into that niche and like those particular programs and it's very inconsistent too because they can just decide like we don't think that your stuff's good enough to pay you this month like even if you're in
Mm.
those particular programs they're
Oh,
just like meh.
okay.
So it's really a gamble on TikTok,
Mm,
but with YouTube it's like if you get the views you get the money. That's as
mhm,
simple as that.
mhm.
And then just the craft side of it too, like I think we anybody who's in some kind of creative job, they want to be doing really like creative bigger projects. So for me it was like okay, I want to learn how to do long form because I would love to produce like longer content, so part of that is also like really learning how to make it work and how to to edit, how to truly produce and put that out there. And educational content is better in long form typically as well. And that is
Mhm.
something that I do too, is the educational side of things, which typically requires a longer video.
Yeah, is that something that you set out to do? Like, I really want to educate because it's interesting. It's not just about your content, isn't just about showcasing your talent for casting directors. It really is this education part where your videos are very interesting, very dynamic, engaging, so informative. And I was wondering your thought process behind that. Is it more of just like a creative, you know, desire for you to do that? Does it play a part in you getting parts? Is it, just a monetization thing? So I find that really interesting because I don't see, I think some people, like, I feel like with you, I feel like you really got it. Like, you really got it. You're like, oh, I'm going to do this long form thing. I'm going to educate people about my craft and be able to expand my monetization possibilities. Right. And so I think you had a lot of foresight in doing that. So I'm just curious what your mindset around that is.
It's a little bit of all of that, but I think
Mhm.
like the biggest part too is just I feel like I keep getting pulled into it or pushed into it and like not of me seeking it out. It's once I got into it like more full time voice acting, I mean, I had people who own coaching studios, organizations reach out and they were like, "Can you teach?" And so it was like an opportunity. And of everything I post, like I get so many people that like I think I get upwards of 20 emails and DMs, like some combination of that a day that people are like, "Can you teach me? Can you coach? Can you teach me? Can you coach?" Or they have these questions and I happen to know the answers. So it's just something that I keep getting pulled like back into by other people.
Mhm.
So it definitely wasn't something like that I necessarily sought out. It kind of found me, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And does the long form content bring you opportunities that you didn't expect? Like you said, the teaching and coaching and all that.
Yeah, and then for like speaking engagements
Mhm.
too, that kind of
Mhm.
thing. Like I've been booked on different events and conventions and just like different opportunities like to do educational like classes about like voice acting that can be very broad. So like it can be
Mhm.
something where it's like teaching people how to make more compelling D&D characters. Like how do I do this voice or like what do I do
What are D&D?
here? Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like the tabletop
Okay.
game.
Okay.
So it's like how do I come up with this or how do I do this voice or
Mm,
even from that it's just generally speaking too. So people are like I speak for my job or I have to give presentations. So how do I make things more interesting? I feel like I drone or how do I make that more compelling because of the vast range of genres that I do with voice acting. I also do like that corporate and that educational stuff for organizations. So people want to know how do they also sound interesting? Like I have to make those programs sound interesting. So that's like
yeah.
compliance training and
Yes.
all that junk.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you do your own editing?
uh, yes and no. So, sometimes like I have people that will help me that'll step in. It depends on the project, but most of the time it's me. It's tough to find an editor who I think can always see your vision and find somebody who you mesh really well with. So some stuff I outsource, but a lot of it is my editing still at this point.
And so how long does editing, say, every week take you?
If it's what I'm doing right now, where I'm repurposing the long form content, like I can spend a day, like maybe a day and a half, like doing everything. So that's like
Mhm.
script writing, shooting, editing. That'll be like a full day of work to a full day and a half of work. And then I'm kind of set too. So then I can like focus on, yeah, so then I can focus on the other stuff or like for a good amount of time. If I can love it when I can get 7 clips out of something. That's my favorite. Cause then I can like kind of like, okay, cool. I can get caught up in my emails now. But I'm doing all of that also in between like, the voice acting, which I stay very booked on as well. So it's like I'm usually pretty stacked and I have to kind of pick and choose like if one thing is taking more time than the other.
Yeah. Yes. How do you come up with your next video idea?
That is typically something that will be either like in the zeitgeist, so it's like very popular, people are talking about it, and I just kind of am able to see somewhere where I can connect it to what I do, or it's something that I'm just seeing discourse about, or it might even be somebody who's commenting on one of my other videos, and I'm just like, oh, I can pop off about that. like
Yes,
like that's
you get
something I can talk
inspired.
about.
Yeah. And well, you kind of answered this, but I said long form or short form, which is actually harder to make.
Long form is really hard to make if you're doing it like traditionally with the green screen. It is so much easier than trying to figure out how to do it, like I said, with like the big girl camera and the big teleprompter and like all of your lighting and the focusing and like it's so much easier for me to record it vertically on my phone with the talking head thing, put that into the program and edit it up that way.
Yeah.
Because the way that I format it, like all of those clips, all the same stuff, it's it's all in the long form and the short form. It's just placed differently around the screen. And
Hmm.
with the way that I do it, it's a lot easier to just adjust the size and go through and be like, adjust all clips to this frame,
Yeah.
you know.
Yes.
But like traditionally long form, like if you're gonna do that whole,
That whole thing.
yeah.
How long does it take you to find all those clips?
That's a lot of times the time consuming part is because
Hmm.
it's so hard to find the clips and then find the clips that like
Match what
like
you're saying.
match, and then because sometimes they're
Hmm.
tough to find, and then
Hmm.
sometimes like the copyright thing, so you're trying to
Hmm.
find the clips that have been made available through different programs for commentary, and sometimes that doesn't even guarantee you that they're going to be okay to use without a copyright flag.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's actually the most time consuming thing
Yes.
of everything is
I would
finding the
think.
stuff for the video. Besides that, it's pretty dang quick. It's really truly like sourcing the stuff.
Well, what about the writing of the script?
That for me is pretty quick because usually I'm trying to focus on stuff where I don't have to do a ton of research for it because
Mm.
it's knowledge that I have
Mhm.
from doing this for so long. Unless it is like the one that we were talking about earlier where it's like the evolution of the voices through the decades, because I'm really trying to make sure that I'm not
Accurate.
giving misinformation there, because there is more of like a historical
Mhm.
component to it as opposed
Yeah,
to like a perception or something that I
an
actually
opinion.
am educated with, where it comes to like, voice and vocal health. And even with that, I still double check where I'm like, okay, this is what I'm hearing. Could that be it? And I like, so I'll look that up. I'm like, does that make with false fold engagement? I actually need to check with that one. I think it does. I think it's what I'm
Yeah,
remembering, but let me double check.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. What does your weekly schedule actually look like? Not just as a content creator, but just like in general, your overall business as a voice actor, as a content creator.
It's just chaotic. I always try to get myself on a good routine. But I hate schedules. Like I've been trying, I'm 35 now, and I've been trying for 35 years to like really stick to like appointments and schedules and regiments and everything. And I'm like, that's the correct thing to do. That's like the right thing to do, and be disciplined. And it just like it makes me ill. Like I
Yeah,
hate it.
yeah,
And it changes all the time too. So it's like anytime I'm like, okay, I'm gonna wake up at this time and do this and then do this and then do that. And it's like that like the way that this industry works, that never happens. Like,
yeah,
because then you
yeah.
have a booking at this time, like at 6 a.m. instead of 7 a.m. because they live across the country and that's when they need it. So you have to be in studio and that affects what time I need to feed and take my animals out to go potty and
Hmm.
walk them. And like, it's just chaos. So it's like, I'm always trying to figure out, and I have help, but even within that, it's like, okay, well, this has changed. And, now we got to do this and that opportunity popped up. So can you be over here if I need to be in LA this weekend to watch I call them
Hmm.
my kids, but my dog and my cat.
Uh-huh.
Um, so it's just like always the day to day looks like trying to prioritize, balance, shift, and then be okay if there's still dishes in my sink,
Yeah.
or, like like something's not quite as like put together as I'd like. And, social life, I don't know what that is like. I'm getting better. I'm getting better. I'm
Yeah.
trying.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard. I mean, I know even me, like, I mean, nights I'm up till 11 midnight sometimes, and it just, it's but the thing is, Tawny, it's like you are creative, and I find that with a lot of creatives, it's like that's kind of who they are. That's also what makes them good at what they do, right? Because like
Yeah.
sometimes you want to work when you're inspired or not. But this industry is also run by creatives. So it's just like this whole thing where you can try, but
Yeah, and you're so right, and like the waiting for inspiration to strike too. That part of it where I'm just like, I'll have that day to do something, and that's what's on the schedule. It's like, okay, like I have the nanny here with the dog because my dog needs a nanny. She's very, very high maintenance, very high maintenance. We love her.
Yes.
I'm like, I got the whole day to myself, and like nothing's booked today. And I'm like, nope, stars aren't aligned, can't do it. Like nothing's correct. I need to lay on the couch all day and watch Mad Men again, apparently.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like nothing gets done.
Yes.
And I'm like, as I'm doing it, I'm pissed, because I'm like, oh my God, this is like what this day was supposed to be for. Like I'm supposed to be working on that thing right now. And I'm just like, everything in me is like, no, we're not doing that today. And so then my schedule's off again, like, yeah, it's a nightmare.
The thing is that with this, because if you did not have the social media, well, if you didn't have the social media, you probably wouldn't have the bookings. But like without the social media, you probably can be like more like, oh, okay. But the thing is with the social media, say you spend a Mad Men day, like just rotting in bed, right? You're still going to have to get that content done.
Yeah.
At some point. That's part of, I don't want to say that's part of the problem, but the thing is like, you still know you have to put out those pieces of content. So if you're not going to do it today, you're going to have to do it tomorrow. Like, so in some ways, it's like there has to be some schedule, but it's hard to do if you're not inspired. And so then it just becomes this vicious cycle.
1,000%. It's constant like that. And then if you don't get it out, the algorithm takes note of that and then it punishes you like the vengeful god it is. And you're screwed forever long it takes you to get back onto the schedule that it wants you to be on. And it's, have I convinced everybody to do this yet? And then it's how great it is.
I mean, I do think social media, especially, for everybody, but I mean, it's not for the faint of heart. I mean, you're doing long form and short form. And I think it's a lot. It's a lot. But like, where would your business today be if you did not have those platforms?
No. Oh, I don't think I would still be doing it, especially with the way that voice acting it has gone and is continuing to go with just the nature of the studio system right now and AI and all of that. I don't know if I would be still voice acting at this point. And that's why I tell everybody who's like, oh, I want to be a voice actor. I'm like, you should absolutely make a social media account with that. And like, whatever you want to talk about it. And then somehow link it into like voice acting, put that in your profile, put that in your bio that you're a voice actor. And I think that is like kind of the way to still be a voice actor. So like you can still do it, but it looks so much different than like how people have understood or what voice acting means and what that means to be a voice actor. I don't think it looks like how it did when we were growing up. And that's a lot of people that want to do it is they grew up like watching their cartoons, and that's typically what people want to do. Like I think 9 times out of 10, it's Tara Strong, on Powerpuff Girls, the Rugrats, or it's Mark Hamill and the Joker. Like that's everybody's reference point for why they want to be a voice actor. Yeah. And it doesn't look like that
character
anymore. Yeah. Or commercial, or like what I do a lot of corporate or I do a lot of tech. And it's not the sexy, glamorous, like, character voices and the fun stuff more often than not. Yeah. Like that is so competitive and it's so hard to get into and even more now. So
I would imagine. Yeah. Like I'd imagine like, to get that shot at that one character. I mean, like you've got to be, and at this point, I always feel like I see, there's a lot of nepotism happening and there's like the kids of actors that get those kind of roles and stuff like that. Right. And so, but it's funny watching your videos and you do you do like the Target boards or the Macy's, like welcome to Macy's or however you do that. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, there's people doing that,
Yeah, sometimes that's me.
Yeah.
And it is true about the nepotism part too. And like, I always hate to tell people this. I'm like, one of the other reasons I don't like to audition is because it's so much about making connections with people. And I'm like, 9 times out of 10, they're getting all these auditions and they're not even choosing from the auditions. They're meeting somebody at an event and they click and then they're friends. And it's like, that's, if I'm not booking on social media, I'm booking because I'm making friends or I'm making connections on social media because people get to know you when you're posting. So, those times when people are reaching out to me, they're like, yes, they appreciate my skill set, but they're also like, I like her. I want to work with her. I like her. Like, I like the vibe. I like all of this, and so it goes back to that who you know and networking thing,
Yeah.
whether that's in person and you're able to go to those events or meet people or somehow get connected, from sister's cousin's roommate type of a deal, or if it is through social media, it is that who you know factor
Yeah.
in one way or
Yeah.
another.
So real quick, I want to talk a little bit about money, right? And so monetization. So when you think about the different ways that you monetized your own business, what do those look like? What are the different income streams coming in? I know you talked a little bit about how YouTube long form is one of them, but obviously your booking. So what does that overall business look like for Tawny? I'm assuming that a lot of what you're getting from your voice acting work, though, it is directly reflected in the success that you have on social media.
Yeah, definitely. So it's like
Hmm.
actual social media revenue is YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok. Instagram does not pay their creators. They do
Hmm.
not do that. Um, so it's like, and then it's the voice acting bookings like themselves. And then it is the event booking. So it's like conventions, like events, anything where like I'm being paid to be there because I'm giving some kind of seminar, class, or signing stuff. Like just I'm supposed to be at the thing,
Hmm.
or a panel. That's what panels.
I saw you were at a cruise like a month or two ago,
Yeah,
right?
like I was
So
I
you got
was
paid to do that,
yes.
obviously. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was one of those
Hmm.
things where, like, I was hired to be one of the talents on the cruise that you could hang out with, and you could, like,
Mm.
go to a panel. Like, I did panels on the cruise, went to some dance parties with some folks, which was really fun. And then, yeah, just got to, like, hang out with people. I feel like that's, like, the main stuff. I don't teach very much anymore. Like,
Okay.
I don't do one-on-one or, like, a lot of, like, traditional classes just because I don't have the time,
Hmm.
unfortunately. But that is I think that's, like, where the main revenue is coming in. So it's, like, live appearances,
Hmm.
social media, and then voice acting. And then every once in a while, a class here and there.
Do you do sponsorships on your
Yes,
videos?
I think
Mhm.
in my mind, I'm like, that goes in with social
The
media. But
social
yes,
media.
so, like,
Mhm.
sponsored promoted posts, yeah.
So when you look at, say, all of your revenue, 100% of it, like what percent of it is coming from, say, the AdSense, you social media, sponsored posts versus, say, the actual voice acting versus like the paid appearances?
Yeah, so, voice acting and social media are pretty much neck and neck, like, as
Mm.
far as, like, where the money's coming from.
Mhm.
The paid appearances, they're just it's not happening, like, so frequently, but, like, when they do happen, like, they pay pretty well.
Mhm.
But that I'm a little bit more newer to that. So that's just been in the last couple years, and like I said,
Yeah.
those are kinda periodic, and I'm not so much into the convention world. And some voice actors are, and that's where they make a lot of their money, especially, like,
Mm.
my understanding, like, I'm not doing it myself, so this is my understanding from what I've heard from people, is, that's where a lot of anime voice actors are making their money, and they're
Mm.
constantly at conventions. So, for me,
Mm.
it's more periodic, like, I'll probably do, like, some kind of live appearance, like, once every couple of months, something
Okay.
like that. So yeah, for me, the main ones, like social media and actually voice acting, are very neck and neck.
Mm. Is that an area that you want to grow? Is like the in-person events, or are you just like, eh?
Not opposed to it. It's just one of those
Uh,
things where I stay so busy, like, I also don't have to, like, really seek it out, but, like, they're super fun, they're cool. Um, yeah, it's just like I said, it's one of those ones where, if I get invited, love to, super down, great, super cool, but, I'm staying so busy that I'm not looking to necessarily, like, really put in the labor and the time to
yeah.
do a whole other thing.
Yeah. That is a whole other thing.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to let's YouTube, because that's a big focus here, what do you bring in a month from specifically YouTube? AdSense, brand deals?
Specifically YouTube, if it's, like, the brand deals, like, with YouTube specifically are kinda like you have smaller months, you have bigger months, like, those ones are kinda like, "Eh," but, like,
Mm.
typically, I'm bringing in, like, a few $1,000s from YouTube
Mhm.
every month when it comes to AdSense. Um, and then with the brand deals, like, typically with brand deals, somebody at my level, like, the lower end is gonna be, like, 6 grand for a
Mhm.
brand deal, like, higher end, like, when you start to factor in, like, usage fees and length of time, and there's all these like what's it called, sparks something or the other, like those ad like
Yeah.
additions. So like the very very low basic end for somebody at like the following count I have is typically like $6,000, and like the
Mhm.
higher end can be like up to 20 grand.
Yeah.
It kind of depends on the month.
Mhm.
Lower month, you're looking at like a few $1,000s, like just from AdSense, and then like higher months, like you're looking at like tens of thousands.
Yeah.
It just depends on the month.
Does it? And do you get most of your brand deals to TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube?
Instagram, I would say, because like
Mm.
Instagram like has the best organic reach for
Mhm.
sponsored. And actually, when like people come to me and they want to advertise something,
Mhm.
I always encourage them. I'm like, TikTok is trash for like
Mhm.
like ad or organic views. You know,
Yeah.
it's terrible. Like if you do anything that's like a paid promotional campaign or anything on TikTok, it will get no views,
Mhm.
and it'll mess up the algorithm for weeks too.
Yeah.
So it's like and that's why I charge more for TikTok, because I'm like, this is gonna
Gonna mess
mess up
up
everything for weeks.
your algorithm. Yes.
And I
Yes.
actually tell them, I'm like, and it's not in your best interest either, because like
Yeah.
nobody's gonna see it.
Yeah.
Instagram is the best for that, is what I have found. Like, especially if like they give you creative freedom too, to really be able to like make it like fun and like something compelling. The
Yeah.
more control a brand wants over the ad, and they're like, okay, you need to do a call to action here, and you need to say this, and you need to do that. I'm like,
More you charge.
nobody's gonna watch it, you know, and then
Yeah.
they're gonna get mad at
Yeah.
me because they're like, well, why didn't this perform well, you know? And I'm like, it's because you wanted me to say all this stuff that's like,
It's a commercial,
yeah,
basically,
nobody wants to
not
watch
a
commercial. It's
creative.
crap.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that and YouTube does pretty well on like the sponsored
Mhm.
post too, actually. Not
Yeah.
terrible, but yeah. So that I typically do tell people, I'm like, Instagram is the best by far.
Or for the sponsorships.
Yeah, for sponsor. Like if they want to get their
Yeah.
eyeballs on their stuff, it's the
Yeah.
best. But like payment wise, kind of the same thing, because like the
Mm.
views are better. So typically you can
Mm.
charge more for Instagram because the retention rate is so much better too.
Yeah. So you're getting about like a minimum of like 6,000 per Instagram post.
Typically I can do that like across the board with each platform, just
Mm.
because my engagement rate is
So high.
better than average.
Mhm.
And the follower count, and there's a lot of components in there. So typically like that is my base. I'm flexible on that. If it's like a smaller business, smaller brand, and I love the product, or like I really believe in them, like I
Yeah.
definitely like am flexible. And that's the same with voice acting too, for
Yes.
smaller businesses and everything. I'm very, very flexible, and like art too. Like if
Mhm.
somebody's like, oh, this is my animation project, you know, and I'm small independent creator. If it looks cool, if it's a cool premise, I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
let's talk budget. No worries. Don't
Yeah.
worry about, you know, the
Mhm.
scale.
Yeah.
But yeah, when it's like somebody that's like a corporation that like
Like
has the
Walmart.
money,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
You're
I'm
like,
like, no, you got it.
yeah.
I'm like, you
Yeah.
have it.
You're paying it.
You're not some, you know, doing your best like
Yeah.
newbie. Like you
Yeah.
have the money, you can pay
Yes.
me.
Yeah. So what are the type of companies that sponsor you?
A lot of times it's stuff that has to do with my demographic, so that's like a good fit. So or just like the topic. Promotional work for like a lot of movies and TV shows, like they'll reach out to me to like promote the show or the movie. Um,
Mm.
and
That makes
then
sense.
yeah,
Mhm.
that's like probably like a lot of it. It's like studio promotional kind of stuff.
Mm.
And then what have I done? It's stuff like associated with that too. So like
Mm.
Fandango, I've done stuff with them.
Okay. So really
Typically it like ties
entertainment based.
in. Yeah,
So
yeah,
not so
very
much like
entertaining.
product based, but very like entertainment
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, I've done some product stuff that makes like a little bit more sense too, where it's been like merch, so like but like associated with entertainment. So it's been like
Okay.
Disney merch, like
Okay.
t-shirts and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Some of it's been like limited edition entertainment themed like foods or whatever too.
Yeah.
Has been some of it. So there's almost always some kind of entertainment component in there, or like something that has to do with like tech, you know, so or like headphones. I've done some over the years. I've done like headphone stuff
Yeah.
as well. Um
Very cool.
I feel like there's stuff I'm forgetting in there. It all kind of starts to blur.
But that's great. I mean, that's amazing. You're doing it right. You're making money all the different ways, right? And it's kind of like you're hedging your bets against every industry. I'm curious, as we wrap this up, where do you see all this going for you? Like what does this kind of next, 2-3 years? You mentioned, we didn't really get into it, but like you mentioned AI, right? I mean, my first thought is always like for anything creative, it's like, my God, God, I value artists and artistry and all these things so much. And just the thought of AI just, I don't know, just, I don't love it. But, where do you see the future of all this for you?
Yeah, so I love that question. For me, it's more producing and it's producing live. We talked about like the live appearances, but for me, it's more like actual live shows and events. So I'm starting to produce other shows now. Like I have a video podcast. It's so weird. I'm so old that it's still so weird to call something that is very much like a YouTube video show,
Yeah.
like a podcast, but
Yeah.
that's what you're supposed to call them now. But I'm like,
Yeah.
that's an audio thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
but I have something like that has been getting quite a bit of traction. And the goal with that is to bring it to live shows.
Okay.
So, like, having that be, like, something that people can go and enjoy
Hmm.
and it be an interactive show as well. So that is where I kinda see everything going, where it's like you're still
In
creating stuff
person.
online, but a lotta in-person stuff. So I
Hmm.
try to focus on things where I'm like, "Okay, how could I bring this to an in-person show, an event, and make this like a
Mm.
thing?" So I have
Hmm.
also started to produce series with like actual characters too, which is also like picking up traction because I'm like, okay, that could absolutely be a live show,
Yeah.
you know?
So on your content, you're creating characters.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I think that is where I see things going. So I'm trying to do stuff now at this point where I'm like, how can this tie into
You're
something that
building the
people are gonna wanna
foundation.
go to? Yeah,
Hmm.
building the foundation for that right now, and that can be more of the live appearances like we were talking about, and, like, more classes and seminars and everything, but I think that the entertainment aspect of that is really important right now, particularly, so that's where a lot of my energy and my focus is going at this particular time.
What do you mean about the entertainment aspect? Meaning like coming up with the right type of characters and right type of content that you think would translate well into an in-person show?
Yes, exactly. Because
Mhm.
I don't think that me just, like, talking about the stuff that I do like, the videos are really interesting that I make, I think,
Mhm.
but I'm like, how does that translate into a live show? I mean, I guess it's, like, kind of a TED Talk type of a
Yeah.
deal, but,
That's
like, I
yeah,
don't see a lot of people
flocking
gravitating
to
towards
that.
that kinda stuff, and just in general, like, I think people are
Mhm.
looking for more, like, entertainment type of shows.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that's, like, actual talk shows, like, back and
Mhm.
forth type of stuff. Like, we're seeing that with, Call Her Daddy, like,
Mhm.
they did a tour
Yeah.
recently.
Yeah.
We see that with Katya and Trixie
Mhm.
Mattel, like, with their podcast, like, they go on tour. So it's like,
Yeah.
for me, that's where I'm transitioning into stuff where I'm like, "Okay, how can I make this be something that would be a live show that people would be interested in going to?" And I don't know that that's necessarily, so what we're hearing right now with this particular character voice.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's really interesting, and I think for myself too, when I think about AI and the future of everything, I think so many people are going to wanna gravitate in person because we don't know what's real and what isn't
Right,
anymore, right?
right.
On social media, I mean, it's like I have such a love-hate relationship because this is all YouTube is what I do, and I love YouTube, and it's, like, brought me so many opportunities and relationships. I meet people, and it's an amazing thing, but at the same time, I hate being in front of a screen all day and a phone all day, and it's like there's so much beauty and energy that comes from just being in person. So, I think I've thought about that a lot, that I think in person people are gonna really gravitate towards that a lot because that's the only way to know what's real and what's not. Like even like voice acting, right? Do you ever get questions of people saying like, "Oh, is that your real voice or using AI?" Or probably not because you've been doing this for so long that people know it's you, or do you
Oh,
get a question there?
1,000%.
Oh,
People
really?
think I am AI, that I'm not a real
Yeah,
person. Like,
yeah.
they're like, "Oh, I like this AI crap," or whatever. Because that's also something that's really popular right now too, is to just call everything AI,
Yes,
you
because you
know?
don't know what's real. People don't can trust anything.
Yeah, and
And
that's
that must be really hard because you are so talented. And I know I said it multiple times, but when I watch your videos, I'm like, "Oh, she's so good." Like, you're
thank
so
you.
good. And it's like, even that even it was like, "Oh, is this real? Is it not? Is she really that good?" But you are, and it must be frustrating to be like, nobody believes me. What's the point?" Right? That's
Yeah.
a really hard thing as a talent.
It is, because especially, I got my first voice acting job when I was 6 years old. So I'm like, this has been almost like a 30-year practice for me. Like, so yeah, no, like, no
Your life's
shit.
work.
Like, I'm that good. Like,
Yeah.
you know, and I don't say that to be arrogant. I say that it's like,
No.
if somebody told you I've been playing piano for 30 years, I've been doing anything for 30 years, you would expect them to have some kind of skill set by that point. So I think that's something for me that's like, it's tough, like, to hear that, because it's written off as being AI. Um, but I completely agree with everything you were saying. Like, I think that's why we're seeing that too. People are gravitating towards live events as well, because of that, because they're like, well, I know this is real because it's in front of my face, you know. And I think just in general, the toxicity that comes with social media too. People are like it's a lot. There's a lot of doom scrolling. There's a lot of people that are just like trying to create
Rage bait for clicks.
discord, and
Yeah.
yeah. And it's like just the nature of people who are predominantly online all day, and the kind of just like anger and nastiness that you can see. I think a lot of people are done with it, you know. So yeah, I'm excited for that. Like, I would love to get into more of that, just live stuff in that
Mhm.
capacity,
Mhm.
just because I think it's like it's going to be a better vibe, as opposed to, because everybody who is showing up at that live show, they paid to be there because they like you. It's
Mhm.
not like online where it's like the algorithm is throwing stuff out to people who didn't want to see that, and because it's on their feed, they feel an ownership to be able to say, this is stupid, I hate you, go, you know,
Yeah.
go kill yourself or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
Which is
you know,
just
oh,
crazy.
you're ugly and dumb and
Yeah.
blah blah blah, you know. So like that, because they feel entitled to do that because it's in front of them, as opposed to
Mhm.
like in a show where it's like everybody, they want to be there, you know.
Also, I think there's like when people are in person, for the most part, like there's more of a sense of like that humanity there, and I feel like there's such a lack of humanity, like with this idea of looking at people on screens, and people having this. And I don't know who's doing it, but there are people doing it, and just these nasty comments, and it's this sense of entitlement of being able to just be
Yeah.
a hole, right? And there's just
Yeah.
a lack of humanity that there's actually a real person on the other side. So in person, I think people are better behaved. You hope. I don't know.
Well,
So
and that's always what I think too, is I'm like, I don't know if it's because I grew up in San Diego and there's a
yeah.
culture here, but you don't run your mouth out here because
No.
you'll get laid out on the floor.
Mhm.
I
And
always
people
look at
don't do that here anyways. It's just kind of not, you
it
know.
never happens in person. I
No.
always look at that too,
No.
and I'm just
Yeah.
like, you can't. I was like, I feel like you wouldn't say that to my face, and then like, because if you did, but
Yeah. Yeah.
it just doesn't. And I've never had that happen like in public like that. You know, like I
Mhm.
think we've all
Mhm.
encountered like mean people and people that say like
Yes.
mean stuff
Yes.
in our lives,
And
but
it's
like
it's
not like
jarring. It's like,
that.
"Whoa." Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's shocking if it happens in person, but online you're like, "Okay, just another day being a content creator."
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
So, what do you want people to say about you, and your legacy, say 10, 15 years from now?
I hope nobody's talking about me. Absolutely nothing. I hope I'm not being spoken about at all.
All right. Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. Well, Connie, this has been amazing. I've really enjoyed chatting with you, and thank you so much for sharing everything about your experience and your journey. For people that are not familiar with you and your work, where can they find you?
I am at Tawny Plattis everywhere except YouTube. I'm at the Tawny Plattis because somebody made a fake account on YouTube
They
about
did?
me before I could get there. So I'm the
Oh,
Tawny
annoying.
Plattis, and
Okay.
TawnyVoice.com. So my first
Amazing.
name, voice.com.
Yeah. If you guys don't know her, check her out. Her stuff is so entertaining. It's just so, I love it. I think you're talented. I'm so excited that, we were able to chat because you have some really cool content. So
Thank you so
congrats to all your
much.
success.
Thank you, Erica.
Yeah.
It was really great. Thank you for making the time and giving me the
Yeah.
space to talk about it. You're lovely.
Thank you, Tawny. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.